Hail, day 9, lockdown life lessons here on the beach. One thing I'm really thankful for in this season is my former life as a flight attendant. Now, those of you who know me are gonna roll your eyes and laugh and be like, "We thought you hated that job." And to be true, there were elements of it that were definitely awful. But I learned a lot through it, and I gained some new skills through that experience. Among those being the ability to travel light. I've packed my entire world into a single carry-on suitcase so many times I can't even remember, and that's really come in handy. Here, I have everything that I need despite living out of a suitcase. It's taught me to adapt to new environments. I'm used to getting off an airplane in a foreign city and having to learn quickly on the ground where to go, what to do, what to see. And I've also learned through that chaotic schedule of Tokyo one day, Los Angeles the next, Paris 2 times in a day, to build a routine in what seems to be the most random and upsetting of schedules, to be honest. But of all the things that I'm grateful for today from my flight attendant life, it has to be the holding pattern. Now, let's be honest, nobody likes the holding pattern. You're circling the airport, you're waiting to land, you're worried about missed connections or that appointment you need to get to, or you just want to get home. And it's certainly not what you want. Now, in a previous video, I talked about how want is often the root of a lot of pain and suffering that we experience in this world. But that holding pattern, which nobody likes, really is for our good. Think about it. Without that holding pattern, planes would be piled up 6 deep at the gates, waiting for a parking space. There'd be a risk of runway collisions. You'd have an overtaxed ground crew that were exhausted, baggage handlers that were overburdened. So much of that system would grind to a halt that it's actually far better to be in the air. Nobody likes it, but the holding pattern is kind of necessary, and the alternative is way worse. Which makes me think about Gandalf and Lord of the Rings. Now, what does this all have to do? There's been a meme that's been circling on Facebook and social media recently, and it's a graphic from the Lord of the Rings films, in which Frodo says, "I wish it need not have happened in my time." "So do I," says Gandalf the wizard, "and so do all who live to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us." On the airplane, you're given time in a holding pattern. And what are you going to do with it? That extra time may be finishing the movie that you started a little too late. It could be sorting and sifting through and deleting the unnecessary and unwanted holiday photos on your phone. Or it could be, my favorite activity, gazing out the window and trying to gain new perspective on a familiar city from the air. So, in the collective holding pattern that we find ourselves in now, the whole world circling and waiting to land, what project will you finish that you started? How will you sort and sift through the excesses of your life? What new perspective can you gain? One thing's for certain in the holding pattern that we all find ourselves in, whether it's a literal or a figurative one, is that worrying never made the plane land faster. That's all for today. We'll see you tomorrow.